Hey everybody, I've been promising this for a while now to a lot of you, that I would share some mobility and strength and muscle engagement movements that you can practice. And I thought I'd start today in the studio. And I thought that I would start with the really simple mobility routine that I do most mornings. It does vary slightly day to day, but let's get going with what I did this morning. So because it's the morning, I generally like to start down on my mat, and I'm going to come down onto my back. I'm going to keep my knees bent, and I'm just going to ease myself down. You see I held onto my knees there, just to help me get down here onto the ground. Once I'm on the ground, I like to settle in, so I'm going to make sure I can feel my heels and the balls of my feet on the mat, and I'm going to work my way up. Do my legs feel level? Are my feet parallel? Are my knees parallel? And I want a little bit of space between my knees. How about a fist's distance is a good gauge. I'm then going to have a little shuffle around, and I'm going to walk my shoulder blades down my spine, and I'm just going to shuffle the back of my pelvis as well, so that I can just feel what's going on for me this morning. And I'm going to come to a neutral position. My arms are just going to rest by my side. If I want, or if I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable or cold, I might just rest my hands onto my tummy, whatever works for you. So let's talk about the spinal position and your lower back and its engagement with the floor. And this is where the first movement of the day is going to come in. I'm going to start by inhaling and exhaling. Just let everything settle. You'll see that I've got my hands just lightly resting on my stomach, just below my ribs. And as I inhale, my fingers are lifting, and as I exhale, they're falling. And that's my diaphragm activating and collapsing, inflating and collapsing. This can have a really nice soothing effect on your lower back if you've woken up feeling a little stiff or tight through this area. So let's just do that for 5 nice big breaths. Nice neutral spine. You don't need to worry about tilting or moving anything. Just be here, hands on your belly. Inhale, exhale for 5. Let's go. Lovely, so everything should feel a little freer and a little more settled. Next up, I'm just going to find the front of my hips, my hip bones here, so those 2 knobbly bits, we've all got them, so have a feel around and just rest your fingers on those. And when we start off, we're all going to have our neutral position, somewhere that is neutral for us, where our pelvis naturally falls. And what we're going to do is inhale and tilt the pelvis forwards, which is going to feel like these hip bones are lifting up and rolling away from us. It's also going to create more space underneath our lower back. And then as I exhale, I'm going to reverse that. So I'm going to pull these hip bones almost up and back this way. And as you do that, you're going to feel your tailbone tucking underneath you and your lower back closing that gap. So you see your lower back, your spine is lengthened slightly, or flattened. It's become not neutral anymore. It's now more of a straight line. And then I'm going to inhale. And I'm going to exhale. And this is just a really gentle movement to tilt the pelvis forwards or anteriorly. That means forwards. And backwards, or posteriorly, backwards. Go at your own pace and just imagine those pelvis bones tilting one way and then the other. And you'll get that feedback from the floor as you're going through this. Should start to feel quite nice. If you're feeling really ground into the mat here, really heavy, I suggest just gently pressing your heels and your feet just a little harder into the mat itself, like you're trying to make an imprint. And you'll find that that allows the pelvis to almost float here. And you might feel that you want to have a wriggle. That's cool, go for it. But we're just focusing on that forwards and backwards of the pelvis. Let's go for 3 more. And when you're done, just finish in neutral. Great stuff. Might not feel like loads has happened at the moment, but if you were feeling a bit stiff and tight, things should have started to ease. You might feel warmer. We're not looking for a big stretch reaction at the moment. So the next movement we're going to do is just going to involve one leg, and you're going to lift that up, and you're going to hold on to the back of it. I like to interlink my fingers here and just rest your leg. So you've created a little cradle for yourself, really, really easy going. And all we're going to do is squeeze that leg in and around in a little circle. No effort from your leg muscles or your lower body. All the effort is coming from your upper body. And when I say effort, it's going to be minimal. So I'm just creating those little circles. I'm not looking for any big stretch or pain reaction. If I get that, I'm going to back off. I'm going to reduce the size of the circle. I'm going to make the movement a little bit smaller. Let's change direction and go the other way. So these movements I chose to do this morning because I was feeling a little bit stiff and sore through my lower back. It's not uncommon for me. I have really tight glutes, and I'm sure we'll get into stretching our glutes and activating our glute muscles in another video. So it's not uncommon that I wake up with a little bit of stiffness, but these movements or variations of them will often help me. So I'm just going to finish with a little squeeze, gentle squeeze into the chest, and then I'm going to release that leg away, and I'm going to pull in my other leg. And same thing, I'm just going to hook it over my arms. I've created this cradle. I'm not looking for miracles here. I'm just looking to ease the joint. Ease the stiffness of the muscles, introduce a bit of really simple movement. I always think of these movements where we're moving joints like this as oiling the joints. Literally getting the oil can out here, because the more we move, the freer the joint becomes. We produce a little bit more fluid in there that helps ease things. The muscle wakes up a little bit. This is called passive movement because it's your arms that are doing the movement of your leg. And it should all just feel really great. If you haven't changed direction for your circles yet, go ahead and do that. And let's just do a couple more here. And finish with a little squeeze and release that down. Lovely. We're going to roll onto our side and we're going to pop up to kneeling. Awesome. Hopefully this is useful so far. Next phase then of the video is a little bit more active. I'm going to come onto all fours. So I've got my hands underneath my shoulders. I've got my knees underneath my hips. Again, knees are about hip width apart here, so I can get a fist easily through there. They're not rammed together, they're not super wide and far apart. I've spread my fingers. I'm pushing my hands down into the mat, and I'm lengthening my arms, and then I'm just trying to find that little bit of activity where I can squeeze my shoulders away from my ears and point the crease of my elbow forwards. Makes a real difference to how strong you feel. I bet you feel stronger if you're doing this the first time. And then I've tucked my toes at the back here, and what I'm going to do is just send my hips back, keeping my head and chest up and forwards, nice long arms, and then I'm going to pull myself up and push myself away. So this is stretching, well, not stretching, but it's kind of a good stretch for my toes and the soles of my feet. Because I've already released things through my pelvis and lower back, I'm free to get my back down here towards my heels. I'm keeping my chest up, I'm not sinking. I'm keeping the chest very active. I'm asking the body to wake up a little bit more as we rock back and forth. This is one of my favourite movements. Really soothing and calming. So a couple more of those, go at your own speed. If it's too much with the toes, you can pop the back of the foot on the floor and just ease backwards. Be careful not to round out too much here. We want a little bit of activity through the upper body. That's on purpose. There's no right or wrong, but what I'm looking for is for that upper body, the arms to kick in and start helping you. I'm really keeping my hands and feet connected to the mat. So I'm building that awareness, that proprioception of where my body is in space and time, and using the floor to help me keep control. Lovely. Okay, we're going to take that a little step further, and we're going to start to lift up one leg. So I'm going to squeeze my glutes a little bit, push into the floor, and kick one heel up, super slow, and I'm going to draw a little circle with my knee. I'm going to squeeze that knee towards my elbow and then send the knee away. Squeezing the glute, lifting up, rotating the leg, and bringing that knee towards my elbow again. And one final time. If you find yourself cramping or getting tight, just ease it off a little bit. Don't make such a big circle. See if you can really use your glute muscles. And then on this next one, as that leg comes up, opens out to the side, I'm going to step it forwards so that it comes next to my hand on the outside. You might need to make some adjustments here to accommodate that. One hand onto the knee, I'm up on my fingertips, I'm keeping it easy to start with, and we're going to continue that rocking back and forth. Now, any of you who do my classes know that we do this in almost every warm-up. It's a really simple, yet effective way to move the joints and just gently stretch the muscles. We're not looking for big reactions here, just looking to move. Next up, I'm going to bring this hand down. If you struggle to get here, you can lift yourself up on yoga blocks if you have them, or cushions, or you could just stay up nice and tall. But I'm going to bring my hand down. I'm going to walk my foot away from me to the side a little bit. I've got a connection between my knee and my arm, and I'm just going to do some hip circles. I'm keeping my heel on the floor, and I'm just circling around. Chest is up, and I'm just allowing my hip to open. Lovely, and then we're going to tuck that back in, and we're going to do the other side. So hands go down, nice and strong and braced. Squeeze the glutes. I'm going to lift that heel up, squeezing that glute to extend the hip. And then I'm focusing on drawing that circle, so I'm allowing things to round out. We're going to draw 3 circles. Nice and controlled. Squeezing that knee towards the elbow. And then this final time, instead of going all the way around, I'm going to continue to lean and step it forwards so it ends up next to my hand, or thereabouts. I'm then going to walk the foot to the edge of the mat slightly. And again, forwards and backwards. Just notice what's happening here for you. This is a great movement to do if you don't have much time to do things. Just do this. Because as we sink back, with the toes supporting us here, we're getting into the hamstring, this area. As we come forwards, we're getting into the opposite hip flexor and probably into your hamstrings and adductors on the forward leg. We're mobilizing the ankle joint. The knee is opening and closing without any pressure through it. It's all going on. And then as we come into those circles with the hand just inside the foot, the knee resting on the arm, the circles, we're then getting into the hip a little bit more. And change direction. Start Start small if you need to. Don't be afraid of taking your weight through your hands if you need to. And we'll go from there. Lovely. And bring those back. And then you can come up to standing. There are plenty of other exercises to choose from. That's just a small sample. I think it's a really good way to get going. Give them a try, follow along and do them. I've done it at a pace that you can keep up with, and I would highly encourage you to do that daily. I'm going to be adding more videos, so we're going to get a bit more variety in there, and you'll get to learn some of the movements that really work for you, and hopefully some cues that are also really useful. Thank you, well done, and let me know in the comments how you got on.